What's going on, guys? Welcome to our Rio Verde project. We're super excited to get started on this one, and let's get right into it. We've got a slider that's going to be going in this wall right here, which means those windows need to go away. We've got a beam that needs to go in there, and so lots of framing work to get all of that prepped. It'll be a multi-slide from one of our favorite manufacturers, Western Window Door Systems, and then we've got a lot more to do inside the house. So let's take a look. I'm gonna flip you guys around for this fireplace in here. We're gonna be doing a framed TV on the wall. The fireplace is 96 inches wide. We're looking at doing an 85-inch framed framed TV. So what those are, they are essentially the thickness of a piece of artwork, and they are able to get a matte finish picture on there. So instead of just having a screensaver that if you're walking out at night, you can tell there's a glow coming off of it, it's gonna have that matte finish so it looks just like a piece of artwork. Now, what are we looking at in terms of that? We have no power on this wall, so we're gonna need to get an outlet onto that fireplace wall right there, which means we gotta go through the backside of the wall. When we're doing that, we're also going to be moving an outlet for the exterior. So this is gonna be our wall right here, and I got a phone call, so let's make sure we're still recording. We're all good. Anyways, we're gonna open up this wall to be able to get that power to go over there, and then we also need to open up the wall to get the power to go out onto the patio for a TV out there. We're gonna be adding some extra outlets throughout the house. We've got this mud area over here that's gonna get a couple convenience outlets. And then let's see, what else are we doing? Let's go to the outside. I know we've got some more fun stuff out there. We're looking at closing in this section of the wall right here on the patio, and then we have another one on the side right there because we want to really just have essentially horseshoe patio right here. And then we're gonna be having heaters that we'll run the electric for. We'll have two heaters coming down from the ceiling over here. And then like we talked about on the back side, we're gonna have our TV that ends up right there. So we'll get our electrician out here for that. The other thing the electrician is gonna be doing is getting a Lutron caseta system set up for the house. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna allow us to essentially have a smart system for the home. All the switches in here right now are just on-off switches. So instead of saying we're gonna go just to dimmers, we want to be able to control the whole house. We want to be able to set the scenes. So that might mean at night, we want to be able to have only these certain lights on, but also we can control the dimness that they are at. So we'll have a section of our video or a section of the project where we go over that a little bit more in depth. We're doing, moving some electrical in here for a TV, moving electrical in the bedroom here, and then in the one behind me for the TV as well. And then this is the room that we were looking at it from the outside, but this is the wall that's gonna get the new slider. So super excited for all this. And before we really get into demoing anything out, we need to get our site prep done, make sure we're protecting the floors, keeping all of our mess contained, and then go from there. So I'll have an update for you guys here in just a second. All right, we have our floor prep down, and we're gonna do some of the plastic tomorrow because they've got some furniture being delivered. So let's take a look around. We've got this whole room that's been ram board out to our back row, and that's gonna be our X board like we talk about all the time. We want ram board, which is the thicker one, in our immediate work area, and then we transition to X board. So we protect the floor, but it's not gonna be as thick, and it's a little bit more of a cost savings for us. We've got our table, vacuum on site, trash bags, all our stuff that we want to be standard for all our guys so that they've got stuff that they can clean up throughout the project, that there's a ladder on site. If someone needs something, they don't show up and it's like, ah, crap, and then they feel like they have to leave, especially with us being, we're good, probably 25 minutes from the nearest hardware store. So the other thing that we did was go through and start labeling the different, that's gonna be, I'll zoom in for you, TV location, and the exact location is gonna be TBD. The other thing we did was go around and for a lot of the switches, do we marked all the ones that need the caseta with a yellow piece of tape. And the reason why is then we can just quickly see throughout the house, this one needs to be switched out. It just makes it kind of scream at you, all that good stuff. So we're gonna call it a wrap for day one over here. We're gonna be back over here to meet with the electrician. We're gonna start doing some demo tomorrow, and we've got a pretty demo focused week. And then next week we're gonna start on framing, and depending on the electrician's schedule, get him out here, and then we'll keep rolling. We'll see you here in a second. All right, guys, wanted to show you a little bit of progress on our demo. We've got also most of the electrical work done. So where we've got all the yellow, we've got all of our caseta switches in, and that's gonna be the smart system that we're doing. So the hub's plugged into the router, we're all set up, so we'll be able to get all the schedule and all that stuff done. The customer will be able to control it from their phone, all that stuff. But let's go see the fun stuff. So we've got our zip wall up in here, and then we have our temporary wall up right now, and we've got this in place because tomorrow this wall's coming out and we've got a beam that's sitting outside that's going in. So we've got a little bit to clean up on the drywall up top, but this will all get blown out. This is gonna carry it so that we don't die. Claim workman's comp. No one does that anyway. Anyways, we've got our TV outlets in the bedrooms right now. We're waiting on a little bit. We've got the drywallers coming in Monday, Tuesday. It's Friday right now. So we've got some cutouts right there, obviously that around there. And then let's go take a look this direction. So we ordered some heaters from Bromic. They're a company that sells heaters, and we're gonna be putting them on the patio. They gave us an 8-week lead time, and they showed up in like a week and a half. So that's fantastic. Those are our heaters right now. So we've got the electricians that are working on bringing the conduit over, because we're gonna make our hole through the ceiling up here. And then we've got our control box. We'll do some work up in the drywall. We'll get all those installed, and then it'll be fantastic for the couple months in Arizona when it is cold and you wanna sit out here and not be chilly. Anyways, we've got this opened up right here because like we said, we're gonna be framing this guy in. We've got it dug out, and we'll get the rest of the dirt out of there before we set any of our concrete. But we're gonna set concrete down there. It's really not gonna be supporting anything, and we can anchor the wood to the sides over here, but we wanted to just do it where it's correct that there's concrete there. There's no critters that are coming that way, even though they could crawl around the side, but let's do it right. We left some of the wire, and I'm not sure if you can see it too well on the video, but off to the side. And the reason why we don't always just want to take a grinder and cut it straight down is because they want to intermingle the mesh that they're putting on for the stucco so that everything doesn't crack and it holds up a lot better in the long run. So we've got that on each side, and then let's jump over to the next spot, which is going to be on the fireplace wall. So as we have the camera take a look over there, we have our outlet, and then you see the blue thing poking out. That's gonna be our Smurf tube. So we were able to do the layout based on where the TV is gonna go, and then the height, and then also where the studs were on the other side to set that box over there. Now that Smurf tube is gonna allow us to do a one connect for the framed TV, because the main computer part of a framed TV isn't with the frame TV that you see on the wall. So that'll get put essentially in a cabinet or a furniture piece on the ground over there. It'll run up through the Smurf tube and connect to the TV right there. For us to do that, what we did is we cut a nice big window right here. And so we didn't know how tight it was gonna be or what we were gonna be getting into, so we made sure it was nice and big. So we were able to crawl through, get our stuff done, and then it also made it where we knew that we wanted a TV outlet here for the master, so we set that right there. One of the things I think I forgot to mention on the patio was we had a outlet over there for the TV, and so we were able to come up through here, go through the stud, up and over, all that good stuff. So everything's been demoed out. The electrical is just about done because we've got that last run over there. We're gonna be taking out that beam tomorrow, and so we might have a time lapse for you guys, and if so, we'll probably be jumping into that, explaining it, and if not, then you'll see me in just a second explaining what happened. All right, guys, we got our time lapse. So we're cutting out the wing sections underneath the old windows with the Sawzall, getting those out of there. And then we're going to cut out this center section. We'll start with the circular saw to keep a nice straight cut and then finish it off with the Sawzall. We're going to be cutting this an 1.5 inches higher than we want our beam to be, and we'll explain that here in a little bit. But we've got our jack studs and king studs that we're throwing in there, making sure that they're level to the existing framing so everything stays nice and straight in there. We'll then cut our beam to the size that we need it to be once we get all those done, verifying our measurements, measure twice, cut once, all that fun stuff. So we'll get that in there. And then since we cut the center section an 1.5 inches higher, we're able to sneak in an extra piece of 2x6, and that way we're not fighting the beam getting in there, and then we set our additional support and we call it a wrap right there. All right, guys, we've got the beam up as you saw, and now we have our plywood sheathing all the way around. Right now, you'll see this guy hanging down. Every once in a while, you're gonna have extra 2x4s to create a window detail that's pretty similar to this one right here. I'll have the camera swing over. So it gets that a little bit more of an indent. We're not gonna have that on this slider. We're matching the other slider that's in the house right now in their stucco detail, so that's why we didn't do that. And then we've got this board on the bottom, and it's not pressure treated, so it shouldn't be touching the floor, but the reason is, this board and this board are all coming out. We're just using it to throw our plywood up against so that nothing's coming through the house while we wait for the door to get installed. So we're gonna come on in the inside, and then hopefully we're choosing the right angle for the lighting and everything. We've got straps that are in, we've got locking that we did all the way across here. So if you'll notice on the time lapse, what we did, I may have already explained this, we had this block that we set in. We cut these intentionally 1.5 inches higher because I didn't want to have to force the beam up into that area, but I also wanted to reuse all these studs that are right there because these go all the way up to the top plate, and we didn't want to take our drywall all the way up and do all that. So it saved us a little bit of work by doing that there. So we've got our straps going across. These were the old jack studs, king studs into the beam. Same thing over here. It's been all nailed off. And then we've got these guys. Technically, I don't really need these, but I'm doing it because we're going to disperse the load a little bit differently or more uniformly across the beam. And then we're strapping the beam to our jack studs, king studs over here. So we centered it on the space. We've got a little bit of a gap right here, but that's more just where the studs facing landed. And that's about it for right now. So we're going to put our plywood on the outside. We're going to take a sheet of plastic this off so that less chance of any critters coming in, stuff like that. We've got our stuff cleaned up. Homeowners have some stuff that's coming into the space, so we're going to be getting our tools out of here, back to the shop, and then we're going to keep on rolling with the project, but we're hitting this thing pretty hard pretty quick. So I'll see you guys here in a second for our next update. All right, guys, we are back in Rio Verde, and we've got some big progress updates to go over. So let's start with, we have our Western Window Systems door in. Installers got that in yesterday. So we've got stucco guys coming in tomorrow to get that all finished up. And then one of the things that I love about the Western doors is that this one's 8 feet tall, but they can manufacture them up to like 16 feet panels, and they slide so smoothly. Their locking mechanism works really well. Western is one of my favorite door systems, and they just stack really well. You can stack a whole bunch of panels, you can automate them, all that good stuff. So super happy with how that guy turned out. Looking forward to seeing that all closed up. Now let's head inside and see some of the other things. I believe that we talked about the smart system that we got put in already, and then I forget if we talked about the outlet behind our TV, but we talked about how the TV has a matte finish, so it looks a lot more like an art piece than it actually does a TV. But when you turn the TV on, you have a full 4K resolution. You don't have that matte finish on there. So it looks super cool. And the nice part is that it will cycle through backgrounds, or you can choose which ones you want. I'm gonna see if I can get like a 1X on this. There we go. So yeah, super happy with how that guy turned out. Outlet worked out. We were able to run our Smurf tube and everything. And then heading to back patio, we have our Bromic heaters in right now. So we've got that one, and then this guy right here. Drywall got done yesterday, so we're waiting on the paint for that. But we've got the control box up in the corner. It's going to be controlled through the Bromic app on the Wi-Fi. And the nice part is that you don't have to have a switch for it. You can just turn it on with your phone. It has automatic safety features, so if you accidentally leave it on, it will turn off if it gets too hot, compared to if you just have a switch where it's constantly on or always on, all that good stuff. So in here, drywall's all done. We've got our drywall patching throughout the house. We've got some baseboard that needs to get finished up, the door casing, and then we're moving towards paint. So we're right now trying to make a push for, today is Wednesday, and we're trying to have the projects essentially done by end of next week. So I think the part that I skipped back out here, and you can see, is the plywood on the wing wall there. And then we've got the same thing on the other side. So stucco guys are coming to get those done, and then also to get the stucco done around the slider. Once that's done, we'll have the painter in here to paint everything, and then we'll get this place cleaned up. We'll get all the ram board out of here. We've got cleaners coming in at the very end to make sure everything's really clean. We've kept the job site really clean, and even the cleaner, when they came to do their walkthrough, was like, there's not a lot to clean in here. So that's what we like. But yeah, that's what we've got for right now. I think we'll have a full final walkthrough for you guys here, hopefully in just a second. All right, guys, we are at the end of another project, so wanted to walk you through what everything looks like here at the end. First, we need to take a look at this Diamondbacks wall, because I'm an Arizona native, and we just got to celebrate those guys, even though that was a long time ago. Anyways, we have our Western multi-slide in, and then we've got some automatic shades that are up top. The customer had this really cool bar that they're putting in this room. So it'll be a nice walkway out to the courtyard. We're going to take a quick turn into the room. We've got our fans up. We've got our TVs in, because we got all the TV outlets done throughout the house. And then we've already talked about all our stuff with the Lutron system. So Lutron's done. And then I forget if we talked about the frame TV, but we got that up on the wall over there. I'll zoom you guys in. That thing looks super cool. I love the matte finish. And then want to take you guys outside to see our Bromic heaters. So these guys are going to be electric heaters that we ran a circuit for all the way to the patio. And then I'm going to step back here so that you can see. We've got one on this side, one on this side. We centered them between the two can lights because those already were equidistant, and we knew that we were going to have the fan going in the middle up there. So the cool part about this, and hopefully I've got a cut-in scene right here with the Bromic app, is that the Bromic app allows us to control the heaters. It also has a lot of safety functions in there as well, so that the heaters don't just get turned on and then they can just keep on going. If you have a party, you go to bed, they're just on overnight and you forget to turn them off from a switch, the app and the Wi-Fi control actually allows for that temperature safety in there for us to do that. The other thing it does is it has the timer function, which I'm sure that the video is showing me clicking in, and the different things like that. So you can turn it on, change the percentage of the heat that it's emitting, all that good stuff. So they look super sleek. They look great in here. We tested them out, and even though it was, I think, in the 70s or 80s, we just want to make sure they worked. And those things put off heat. So when our brief winter rolls back around, we're sure that the customer is going to enjoy those. So little touches on here. We talked about the outlet for the TV that's going to be on that wall. Oh, and then we've got these stuccoed in for those wing wall areas that we looked at before. And then we've got our additional outlet up at the top right there because they have their security camera, and then also they're going to put an automatic shade in that area right there, so they've got the power already up there. So wanted to kind of think ahead for them on all of that. Besides the other outlets, I think that's essentially it for what we've got in here. Everything's cleaned up, paint's been touched up, so all the big stuff, fun stuff's done. Thank you guys for watching. Follow along, subscribe, do all those things, and if you want to hire us, then if you're in Arizona, feel free to reach out. We will see you guys on the next video.